friends. Welcome to File New. This is your best source of creator news, design news, art news, you name it, every week here on Wednesdays, right here on Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvy. I'm your host. I am a motion designer that is based in Brooklyn, New York. And today we're going to be going through lots of different stuff. Today, I thought it would be nice to do a little breakdown of some of the creators that I really like to follow online that get me quick tutorials and quick tips and tricks. We'll also be jumping into our normal segments like hyperlinks and resources. We do some rebranding and font of the week. So we got plenty to keep you nice and distracted and positive and cheerful on today. So make sure you say hello in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you leave a comment to say hello. Over on YouTube, we have Oliver and Kyle and Wade and Clever over in the chat. Clever saying algorithm. How do you even say that? Algorithm, but algorithmic. That's what it is. And then we have a bunch of people over on Behance as well. We have Apurva, we have Kendall and Clever, Keys, Christelle, Robert, Kyle. Thank you guys all for being here, and thanks for taking time to tune in today. If you guys have any feedback, if you have any links or things that you want to showcase while we're hopping through stuff, I'd love to hear you talk about it. So we're going to start off our very first segment with news. So there's a photography Create Now coming out in about a week. So it's going to be on Thursday, November 14th. That is a week from tomorrow. And if you are in the New York area, you should go check it out. It says join the local NYC photography community at Adobe Create Now to connect with fellow photographers, explore new ways to collaborate and enhance your creative process, get inspired, discover the latest features, and get pro tips for photography workflows in Lightroom and Photoshop. You can enjoy appetizers, drinks, and a chance to win a Creative Cloud membership. It's a free event, no fee to attend. Please note that our event has limited capacity, so kindly RSVP only if you plan to attend. We can't wait to see you there. I went to a Create Now earlier this year. It was over at the Lighthouse by Chelsea Piers. Had the best time, got to meet so many cool people, and if anything, if you just don't want to pay for dinner, that's a place to go because there is plenty of food. There is plenty of alcohol. The drinks are flowing, and it's a really good place to learn some new features and also just really good networking because in my experience, there was a hey, Afrojoe, welcome to the YouTube chat. There was a little sticker system that you put on your name card that, like, it was like if you're into design, you put on a green. If you're into photography, you put on red. If you're into video editing, a purple. So you kind of memorize which colors you want to associate with, and then you walk around the event. And it's kind of like the first week of college when everyone's kind of still open to talk to strangers. And it has a really welcoming environment. And then there's also normally a talk. There's some booths that you can walk around to. And if you weren't able to make it to Adobe Max, it's very similar vibes and lots of resources that you can have at your disposal, all available at NYC Photography Create Now. You can go ahead and check it out. All the links for today and in other ones as well are all available in the Raindrop, which is linked in the description, as are all of our normal links and stuff. But yeah, that is the Oliver says news can't be any news. Nothing big news happening today, right? Well, this is the big one right here for you. So Kyle's saying a big +1 for making the effort to show up at IRL creative events. It'll go a really long way for you. Can't recommend it enough. Also, speaking of news and updates, there is a bunch of shows that have been going on Adobe Live all day today. One of which we have some people in the chat which are part of it, and that is Kyle and Evan. They do Motion Design Hotline, and they did this really cool leaf project because it is autumn after all. And you should go and you should check out that replay for it. We have a good representation right here. This one was made by Kyle, and you guys know, if you guys have followed my work at all, that I really, really, really love any sort of kaleidoscopic event or like feature of any sort. Now, this is something that they did with a tunnel. And then if you're wondering what Evan did a really cool falling of leaves, which you can see here, and has this like nice 3D element and 3D experience. It's an hour-long show every Wednesday at the beginning of the day. I have to loop it so that it continues to loop. But if you want to learn how to make these, what's really cool about this entire project is that they actually sourced leaves for it. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, it means that they went out and they got 100 and how many was it? How many leaves was it? Kyle says that Kyle gathered, photographed, and post-prepped about 120 leaves that they could then plug into the above projects, talk through that photo setup a bit, the Photoshop processing, and they both dive into the way that they built their own After Effects projects. They created systematic procedural approaches in After Effects for a realistic falling leaf and a colorful leaf mandala. They were both built to be flexible, so they could build the thing once and then swap in whatever art that they wanted to create. So definitely check that out. Very cool stuff. All on Adobe Live. I'm like hiding behind the leaves here. But that's something if you want to learn, distract yourself with a little bit of a project today, or even in the coming week. Like you can use this as a means to just keep yourself learning, because that's all part of the process. So make sure you guys check that out. Once again, that's Motion Design Hotline, and you can catch it at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays right here on the Adobe Live channel. Let's hop over to one of my favorite parts, which is hyperlinks. So talking about things that get you to learn things and have fun and keep you a little distracted, I wanted to talk about this tool called Ragtime. And Ragtime is a free website that you can have, and it helps you learn about rags. If you don't know what rags are, this happens a lot also in InDesign. We can even pull up an InDesign and it can show you how you can edit it. But one of the things that is really helpful to kind of play around and experiment with is the idea of trying to figure out what works best. So if you go to fathom.info /ragtime/game.html, it will bring you to this page. And you'll see this timer's going down. There's actually also music playing, but it will make it so that you kind of have to figure out the best way to create a rag. So it says, with the arrow keys, place the cursor where you want to fix the rag. Hyphens are allowed. Press return to drop down a word. Press delete to bring a word up one line. You have 60 seconds to rag the presented copy. When you're satisfied with your paragraph, arrow down to the finish button and press return. If you need help, press the H key to hint and pause. Ragtime is fully controlled by key commands. Do not use the mouse or trackpad. So we have the arrow keys, we have hints, we have using return, and we also have delete. So I'm going to refresh the page because we wasted some time going through instructions. But you can see that here we have kind of a nasty rag. This is not great where we have some sort of kind of like decline. Immediately I go and click right after they say not to use their click. So the first thing that I would probably do is I would see if I can get this up here. Maybe also get this up here. I think that maybe the scientific is a strange kind of. This characteristics is horrible. And then also, like, I don't know if I love the distribution. Transparency, I would want to switch. You know, they say that... No, that's not what we kind of want, right? Maybe after here. No. Can I bring that back up? And then bring, oh gosh, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. Oh, this is a bad rag. Oh, I messed it up. Oh, I messed it up. I messed it up real bad, folks. Oh, all right. Well, I got a score of 0 because I did not hit finish in time. So I want to at least get a decent score before we go. I'm immediately noticing here that this is not great. I want to increase kind of like the ability of a block. You kind of want it to go back and forth. And then same with, I keep wanting to click. It's like, do not click. And so I'll click over here. I'll try to see if I can. Now, the problem is I don't like this eye. I think that this is in a good spot. So let's go ahead. Oh, I have to go down to finish and then click finish, right? So I got a 57, which I don't know. Can I press H? Can it tell me? No. All right. Let's see if we can improve anything here. We'll do one more and then we'll go, so that the whole game, the whole stream is not just a Ryan plays Ragtime. Terrible M dash. Yes. So, Clever's in the chat saying terrible M dash. Can you please describe what an M dash is, and can you also describe what a N dash is? We'll see if you can say that in the chat. Now, I'm also gonna. I keep clicking. I keep clicking, and it keeps not being happy with me. So we have. I feel like this is looking pretty good. Oh, I guess I don't like the first part here. And maybe we move this up so that it's not as bad. All right, and then we're going to go down to finish. I got a 72. So we improved. And this is, you know, it gives you rounds and scores. There is plenty for to learn. You know, you can also press H, and it will show you maybe some of the things that you should mess around with. I think it's interesting that they're saying to put a return here, because then I guess when you're deleting, it'll move it around. But there's plenty for you to mess with. You can learn and have an idea of like what makes a good rag and what doesn't make a good rag. If we go over and we pop over into InDesign, we can actually look at how you can play with some of the rules for how you're going to lay out text. Now, I will admit to you guys, I am not the strongest InDesign user. It's something that once it goes over, like, let's say, I don't know, like 3 pages in any sort of design, and that's why I'm also a motion designer, because I don't want. I'm also trying to find my YouTube friends over here. After says, wow. Also, Clever, thank you for the goat. I appreciate that. Also, thank you to Wade, who is in the chat, doing some moderating. I guess one thing that we didn't touch on that I meant to bring up is that next week I am going to be taking the week off, and Wade is going to be hosting File New. So please, in the chat, let us know what you would love to know from Way to Cuff in File New. It can be as part of any of the sources, or we're meeting later about it to figure out what it is going to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the type tool, and I am going to just create something. You can go and you can actually fill it with lorem ipsum if you'd like to, which can go under fill with placeholder text. And so that will give us this kind of filler text that just no matter what, it's going to be able to be moved around. You know, if you need to have more later, you can just create the box to be a little bit larger, go into type, fill with placeholder text, and it will fill out the whole thing. Wade says, me, I'm just hearing this. Don't fool the people. Don't fool the people, Wade. We talked that, or I talked to a scammer who was pretending to be you. Okay, so now we have this, and we have like an interesting rag. For the most part, InDesign's going to do its best to kind of figure it out. But you can always go in and go to your text frame options, and this will give you a lot of control over the different rules that you kind of have. You can also like create. You want to turn on your preview. And you can adjust some like the horizontal positions. Oh wait, no, that's the column rules for what have you. But for the columns, you know, this is if you want to like create more than one column, if you want to divide up your text, if you need to do some inset spacing, that can sometimes help your rag. You also are able to adjust your you're able to adjust the justification of the type if you want to make it go justify with the last line, a line left, but then it goes fully to the side here. You have capabilities to do that. There's also a way where you can visualize weird spacing in InDesign, and the way that you can view, and it's something called like invisible. I have to figure out here. I'm going to say view spacing between words. And how many people here use InDesign pretty regularly? It's something that we heard a lot about actually at Max, was that people regularly are using InDesign and they don't hear a lot about it. So I'm going to try to start incorporating more in the show about different things that can be done and adjusted within InDesign. There are also a lot of things that I had learned about in college and stuff, and I've used a little bit for examples with like clients with a lot with like invoicing. I do some with like if I'm creating a deck. You can also mess around with InDesign. That's when I find the most success with it. But I might need to come back, and obviously you can always go to your character styles, but I lost the spot. Not show hidden characters. There's a way that you can view the spacing, and I thought that you would be able to figure that out. But all right, we might just have to go in. I mean, you can also always go to your justification settings in your paragraph, and you just want to pull up your type in tables. You can go into your paragraph thing. It'll pull this up. You know, you have a little bit of control, once again, over how it's justified. If you want it to be justified all the way across the side, if you want to indent it or move it around. You also have the ability to create paragraph rules. You can also like make it so that if the weight of anything is beyond something, it can kind of have this line that goes through. But yeah, something definitely to learn about, something to mess with and hop around in InDesign. Next up on hyperlinks, we have another fun game that we can mess around with. This one is called Cant Unsee, and this is about learning what is working and what is not working in design. This one has a much easier address here, where it's just cantunsee.space, and this is going to be like select the design which is most correct. You want to see which one looks more correct, and so we'll click this one. You can also then compare and see just that it doesn't look great with not rounded corners, but like some rounded corners and not rounded corners. It has consistent spacing. You can also use the keyboard to select between. Looking at this one, I feel as if the hierarchy on Johnny Ive is doing better in this scenario, so you're going to press 2. Once again, you can compare the two. Hit next. And then you also have, something like here. Once again, go to the second one. Here we get a little bit more nuanced with the idea that like this blue is then going with the background, whereas there's a green. The color justification makes a little bit more sense. Activity color indicator. Select the design that is most correct. This is a little bit hard to see personally, so I'd go with the first one. You want more contrast, so you're going to compare, and you can do shift. For this one, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's going to be the one on the left, or do you think it's going to be the one on the right? Something that I'm noticing is the button, and you can have this whole situation. I'm going to go with the first one where everything is capitalized. You can invite other group members to this conversation. It's going to be another one, the first one. And I don't want to give away all the answers for you guys because I feel like you guys might want to do this yourself. But I like the roundedness that aligns with the magnifying glass. Oh, we're getting some interaction in the chat. Stan saying, my goal is to learn about accessible design in InDesign. Yes, that's great. And Keys is mentioning that InDesign comes with Adobe's Line or a Sentence Composer. They automatically resolve some form of RAG errors, which is a great call out. Kendall saying that she uses InDesign for, they use designs for bottles inside of InDesign and learned a lot. A fun challenge is doing the whole design in one text box. Gets chaotic trying to use the tables inside of it in columns. So much fun, but you learn a lot. Also, Oliver said he used InDesign to make his CV, which is really good. For this one, I'm thinking left again. Is that how we're feeling? Let's do left. All right. Most correct, we would say 2. All right, we'll do 3 more. We'll get to 10, and then we'll call it out. For this one, I would honestly probably say 1. Is that right? Yes. Okay. And then for this one, what's the difference here? What's the difference here? What is the difference here? The spacing looks the same. The color of everything looks the same. The drop shadow is the same. The arrow is the same. The title's the same. I'm trying to prioritize accessible design in my work. Hard to convince ignorance. Yes, there's also a few ways that you can check your work to see if it is accessible. Oh, I see. All right. This is a squashed guitar rather than this not being a squashed guitar. All right. So there we go. Picture note. Yes, thank you, Christelle. Appreciate that. And then this one has either skip in a box or without a box. I kind of like it without a box. I'm not sure if that is the right thing. I mean, you want to entice users to invite friends. So you want them to hit the blue button, but maybe that's not accessible because maybe that doesn't tell you. So I'm going to guess, and I'm going to say skip without the button. Aha! All right. And they're saying that it works. So there's 8 more outside of that. Cant Unsee. It's just a good way, even if you don't use UI, I think it's a good way of being able to prioritize and explore how you're designing and you're creating work to make sure that it is understandable to people without having to write it out. Keys is also saying left. Wade saying go with your gut. Thank you, Wade. Appreciate that. But just another fun way to explore the world of design and things that are kind of unsaid and you don't realize look better until you do it, and maybe you can then bring them to your work. Kyle says I'm halfway through medium right now. They get tricky. Yes, so I guess the first part is quite easy, and they have similar vibes, so I wanted to bring them both up. They are both available on Adobe Fonts. We have Curve and Quador. Both of them are serif fonts, which if you are new to type design, serif is just the little hats and boots that are on letters. So you can see that like this B has a little extra, this H has a little extra. And so the first one that I chose by Fontador and Arne Freytag is called Curve. And this is a modern Didone, which is another specification of typefaces. If you want to know the exact definition of Didone, I will go ahead and live on air, I'm going to say define Didone, and we're going to see where this gets us. So Didone is a type of serif typeface that was popular in the 18th and 19th century, and you always got to remember you got to go back one, so that's the 1700s and the 1800s, and it is characterized by serifs, which are things we just talked about, contrast, which is a strong contrast between thick and thin lines, with vertical strokes being thicker, an appearance, which is unornamented modern appearance, and then influence by writing and pointed nib held at the 90-degree angle. The term Didone is a combination of surnames of type founders Firmin Didot and Giambattista Bedoni, which you will recognize those two names because those are two very popular typefaces. These two type founders were rivals who pushed the limits of type design, punch cutting, and printing. Didone fonts are often used in fashion, magazines, advertising, and high-end product designs to give a brand a luxury or high-end vibe, which when we're looking at this typeface, Curve, even in the example, it has a very fashion-oriented vibe. It feels like it's something that you could see on something that is nice and nuanced. You could use this as a display font, but the other cool thing about it is it also scales down kind of pretty nicely, where you can also use it maybe as like a caption font or something. And if you go ahead and you actually pull this up on Adobe Fonts, all you have to do is you can either go straight to the Fontador page, which has a list of all of theirs that are all available on here. It's funny, you can see I was working on my save the date, so we have Aaron and Ryan on here. But you can see that Quador is the second one that we're going to be working on, and Curve is the first one. It has a big range of weights, which is really nice. And you can see that from here you have Curve Light all the way up to Curve Extra Bold and Curve Ultra Bold. If you look down on the very bottom of all of the typefaces that you go to, you can actually learn a little bit about the process. And it says, Curve is a modern neoclassical typeface family with some features of the Didone genre, but especially designed for contemporary typography. It is a large X height, and X height is the kind of area between the middle of the typeface. So whenever it's the height of the X, that is the X height, but that's also often kind of like the middle of the H, or the top of an A. And it says it not only creates space in the letters for extra bold styles, but also lends curve and open and generous character in the more narrow and semi-bold versions. It has 616 glyphs with small caps, numbers, and ligatures in 10 weights. Curve is a contemporary serif typeface, special for logos, brands, magazines, and editorials for setting trends in fashion and design. So it says that it has 616 glyphs. If you are ever curious as to how to get there within an Adobe program, it actually is just available up in the top menus, but we're going to go here and we're going to open up Curve. Let's do something fun like Curve Bold. That's a hideous, like, brown gold that we have going on here. I don't know what that is from. So let's go ahead and change it kind of to a more file new yellow. And one thing that is always possible is to go down here and go to Window Glyphs. You'll see that you have access to all of these glyphs with little extra ornaments on top of letters to have support for many different languages. They also even have like a pi symbol, which is nice. It has all different numbers. And it's always fun to hop into these and see how far your typeface can go, because sometimes they will have even like glyphs, like little arrows that work well with the typeface that you can then use as scalable type, so that it's not, you know, tied to a rasterized size. You could, you know, scale this up to something like insane, like 300 or something. And then all of a sudden you have these giant arrows, which is really nice. And that can help add to your design. As we were saying before, it has a bunch of different weights, so it's a nice fashion design-esque vibe. Similarly, I wanted to include Quador because while it has a lot of similar characteristics to it, this one feels way more regal and professional. I feel like this could be in a luxury brand, maybe for something like either a finance, like luxury specific to the ultra elite, or it could be something like a interior design company. It could be for a insurance, but like in a way that feels refreshed and new. It is a squarish serif. It is also by Anne Freytag, so hats off to them. And the description that is on the Quador page says that it is a square serif, especially designed for contemporary typography on print and screen. The super ellipse-based forms and high X height allow large and open letter forms, perfectly adapted to the pixel grid on screen. With rounded serifs, Quador provides a soft and friendly atmosphere. The font contains 6 weights from light to ultra bold, plus true italics, 1,115 glyphs, including 187 ligatures, small caps, tabular, old style, fractions, and a wide range of flexibility for Latin languages and Cyrillic support for every typographical needs. Quador is contemporary serif typeface, special for logo types, brands, magazines, and editorial. Yes, I feel like this would be a very good magazine. You can use this for headers, but you can also use it for a bit of body copy if you would like. And I think it has a really good feeling to it. Now, let's say there was a part that you want to use a ligature on, which is something that can make your typeface look very fun. We're going to write File New. And one fun thing that you can find in the Glyphs folder is if you go down to Glyphs, you'll start to see that there are these combinations like SH or SK that are included in this typeface. If you were to put something here to be like, what's an SH word? Shire. You can see that there's this little thing here that kind of pops up where there's like a dot. And if you go in and you are able to highlight sometimes, it's not going to do it for me because I'm showing it off here. But normally there's like a little box down here that you can then click on, and then that way you can replace it with the ligature. But if that doesn't pop up for whatever reason, you can always go into your glyphs panel and you can find that SH. Oh, because we're still in curve. That's why. That's embarrassing. We want to switch it over to Quador. Is it not synced? Oops, we got to sync the font. So we're going to give that a second to sync. A lot of times, sometimes you have to hop out of your You have to hop out of your type effect if you want it to then pop in and properly switch. So we'll go back in here. Give it a second. Sometimes it helps to also open the app. And if that doesn't work, you guys can also just believe me. You can just trust me for once, you know? One more time. Nope. All right. So it's not going to happen for us. But ideally what you can do is you can go into your glyphs and you are able to grab some of the ones that are a little bit more. Let's see if we can find it out here with the FI. So we have find here. We can always switch that over just by clicking this, and it will then bring them together, and then you have kind of a nice ornamental approach to your type. And it's already pre-designed. It's already something that's been figured out. Purpose says, we trust you every week, Ryan. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Key says, Ryan, switch to looking in the contextual alternatives group from the glyph window. Are you saying down here, looking into contextual? I'm not seeing them. I'm a little off of my focus today, guys. Please forgive me. Well, we might have to come back to that for this. We're going to try one more time to see if Quadroor is added here. And it is. Huzzah. Okay. So let's do something here. Yes. Did you guys see that? Do you see this little box down here telling us that we are able to switch out this L with something else? And contextual alternatives group from the glyph window. You can, once again, bring up your glyphs. And you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on here, which is nice. We've got plenty of fun things to kind of explore. You also have like these fun Unicode symbols that we were talking about with like the arrows before. Sometimes they'll fit in a lot of like very visual icons for you to incorporate into your work. And any of these can be used. You have like fun HE situation. We have an FT going on. A TT, UR. Like that UR is nuts. Or the UN. Like what's happening there? UN, UR. That's pretty fun. Kendall saying Fairwater script is my favorite alt glyph option. So we can also check that out. But we spent a lot of time on Font of the Week. I do want to hop into some creators that are really nice to follow and figure out things that you can learn from. This is going to be a little bit of a rapid fire walkthrough because there are a lot of people to get through. Also, you guys know me. I always want to highlight a bunch of different people. So this is by no means a definitive list, but just something to check out. So let's go on, hop into Spotlight. So Spotlight, first one up is not going to be a surprise to literally anyone, but if you want to learn any sort of Illustrator or just want to have some Illustrator stuff on your timeline, James Barnard is a fantastic resource. He's got plenty of stuff from both things that are deep within the Illustrator ecosystem, or they can also be within a just like design principles or things to learn about creating design. In this case, he's kind of exploring the ways that you can add lines to shapes while not having to do extra clicks. And this is like within animating within an object. So in this case, he's creating a basketball by using the Draw Within tool. This is right inside of your Illustrator options and can go a really far away as far as making it so you don't have to do 1,000 clipping masks or something that will slow you down. Also, he always has a fun way of being able to kind of highlight the different ways to explain stuff so it's not just so stale and cookie cutter as to be like, do this and then do that. So just to show you guys kind of in our own terms how we could do this, we could create a box of any kind of degree, change it to like, I don't know, like green. And then right under here is where you're going to have all your options. So you can either draw behind, you can draw normal, you can also draw inside, and this works for both shapes as well as like the pen tool or the pencil tool. You can see that it's now highlighted, which is nice because when we went and we clicked that, we had it with it selected. So now I'm going to go and change and go to like this. You can see that now we can then change the color of that, and it's going to exist all within here. It can have as many as you'd like. Adding some lines. I'm going to go ahead and like increase the stroke here, and you can bring this up and down, which is really nice. When you go to then view it in your layers, it does all the work for you. It's all within its own layers. It's in its clipping group, and you can always, if for whatever reason you need to like drag this out, you can drag it out, and it's completely editable. You just want to always make sure that you kind of like can switch back, or you can move around in the event that you need to use that tip. So once again, that is James Barnard. He actually had a talk at Adobe Max this year. It was fun to get able to meet him down in Miami, and I definitely recommend his work. This is also for, we're just going to go through a few Illustrator ones first, and then we'll go from here. This is OG Zeet, who I have not met personally. He does some really good breakdowns of not only Illustrator, but he also does really great breakdowns of typefaces. This is something that he posted 5 hours ago, so I'm actually watching this for the first time, which is nice to see. I also really like Degular and Nicholas. We've actually had Nicholas as a font of the week before. And so this is just something that's really good to have kind of as you follow and as you work your way down your feed, and maybe you're trying to avoid other things in your social media feed, like specifically this week or something. This is a really good place to learn more about like Adobe Fonts, Adobe programs. But then he'll also sometimes go in and he'll do a quick breakdown of like a starburst pattern in Adobe Illustrator, which he's pretty good at being able to make it go slow enough that you can kind of understand what's going on, and you don't have to replay, because obviously in Illustrator, in Reels, you have only the like time that they give you, and you can't really scroll back and forward. So here what he's doing is he's using the expansion of the stroke and the kind of like dotted lines that you do to then kind of make this creative like a spiral or something, and be able to transform, reflect it, and move with it. So once again, just to show you guys that in a little bit slower, and I want to make sure I give full credit to him. Once again, this is OG Zeet. He's a film poster designer, and he says a few pixels short of a JPEG, which is fun. But once again, all that he did to do that very quickly is he created something with a stroke. In this case, we're using the ellipse tool. If you don't see all of this, this is just in my properties panel, but you can always go down to window appearance, and that will also give you the same experience, because then you just kind of expand the stroke by clicking here. You would change it to a dashed lane, and then you like would bring it to something what he did like. This is the amount of space in between, so you can increase and decrease this. This gives you both the dash and the gap. So let's say something like the dash is maybe like 50, and the gap is going to be something like 15. And then you just increase that weight, same sort of thing, until it has this middle. And then he goes to Object, Expand Appearance, Object, Expand again, press OK. Then we have here, and he went to Effect, Distort, Twist, and then you can increase this or decrease it, and same sort of thing where you want to go into Object, Expand Appearance. So if you're not familiar with Expand Appearance is a tool that you can use to, listen to me. Expand is a really good way to go and just make whatever your effects kind of locked into the shape, because you'll see if we don't do that, you see how these blue lines are still not following the curve that we have. I undid, by the way. That's because we can go back into Twist and we can still adjust this. As soon as you go into Expand Appearance, you can no longer adjust things anymore. But if we wanted to, for whatever reason, continue to adjust this without making destructive edits, we can still add some sort of destructive thing here. Whether that's like rough in, then you can like play around. This isn't necessarily like an example of something you'd want to do, but maybe it is, you know. You mess with the size and stuff. But once again, we still just have these circular lines. You can always go in and adjust all of the appearance panel. It'll show you kind of what is on here. So we have twist and roughen. So we could even turn off twist and roughen, still adjust it, or you could turn roughen back off. But then at any point, if you go over to expand appearance, it's going to then update everywhere else. So when I look at the middle of that, it looks like I'm moving even when it isn't. Optical illusions. That's right. You got it. Stian said, what did I say? Can you expand? See what I did there? Can you expand what you mean by what did I say? Was there a specific part that you want? We can also break it down again. Please let me know, and I will mess it back up. Not mess it back up. I will explore it again. Once again, that is OGZeet. So it's OGZEET. And sorry to Wade. I know I don't have these in the raindrop, but I will get these all in the raindrop in just a little bit. Next up, we have Kilkato, another illustrator. And Kilkato is a brand asset creator with really good recommendations and reels all around more of like logo design more than anything else. This one in particular, he has converting vector art into pixel art in Adobe Illustrator, which is being able to take something that feels very smooth and then turn it into something that feels way more reminiscent of like a nostalgic vibe. He's using rasterized, so it does mean that maybe your scalability is going to be a little bit different. So you'd probably do this at the very end of it, but it's super easy. And as you scale it and you move it around, it kind of has that retro effect, and you can apply it even to live text, which is really nice. So I guess you don't have to do it at the end of your thing. You can also add it to your graphic style of illustrations that make it feel way more like maybe something like a short hike or something. And so he has a bunch of reels that are just like this. His name's Kilkato, KILL_KATO. And it's just really great ways. So let's find something real quick. He's going to go to the FX, rasterize, and then lower the PPI to something really low. He just does 10, changes it to transparent, and presses OK. So let's check that out real quick. So we will make a smiley face. Thank you, Kilkato. And we're gonna let's even give it like a big stroke. We're gonna go full Walmart, right? But not all the way because this isn't sponsored by Walmart. And we'll give it a little smile. I held down Alt, by the way, to make that happen. And we'll go like this. We can even zoom in here, and we can do a width tool here so that we can actually adjust the sides. So that's not just a stroke. Also, if we want to, we can object expand appearance because that is the theme of the day. And so what did he do? He clicked everything here. We're going to group it together. And he went to his effects panel, and he went to rasterize. And then he changed this to other. He changed it to 10. He made sure it was transparent and pressed OK. And look at that, you guys. How sick. So now I can go and I can bring it smaller, or I can bring it nice and bigger. And if for any reason we want to change how much pixelation it has, we could bring it down more. We could also bring it way up more. So we can maybe say 50 so that it has like just a crusty side enough. And that's a good tip to have. So thank you so much to him. Once again, that's Kilkato. He did the Andor poster. It appears so, I guess. Some very, very talented people. Next up, I'm realizing we only have like 10 minutes left, so I'm going to have to fly through some of these guys. We might not be able to go through every single example that all of them have. But Yok Studio is also really great. The one that I found him through was this slime effect that he has. And he normally will show you how to not do it first, and then he will show you a better way to do it. Oh, I hadn't liked it, so I should like it. But in this case, it's going to a compound path and then making path have an offset, so it's a little round. I think he then like blurs it, right? Changes an offset path to then bring it down. Ooh, look at that. And then he's able to drag by the outline. That's really neat. And you could add this to probably even type if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be just circles. It can be whatever you'd like. And that's all available in Illustrator. That is Yok Studio, YADOX Studio. Next, you guys are totally going to recognize her, but I have to call her out. Pink Pony, Christy, and she has her own brand agency. She is down under, I believe, in New Zealand, and she does a really great job of walking through what it means to be a business owner, but also she walks through kind of like how she's grown as an artist, what she sends to clients, and she shows her brand proposals. She's been doing this the whole time, so like even she does like cringe things like, I can't believe I sent this to people, but she literally like showed that on her profile years ago or months ago. So she's very open and great about it, and she's also was at Adobe Max, got to meet her. Very, very nice. Let's do like 2 more Illustrator ones, and I want to make sure we also get someone. Planet People Studio, you guys have seen him before. He does a really fun way of kind of like going back and forth and kind of like interacting with the screen with Illustrator. In this way, he'll kind of even like touch the screen and show you how it switches up. And also in his way, he'll show how he represents it to clients and how to make things very pretty. And he also gives you other Illustrator tips, which is really nice. I do want to hop a little bit into Photoshop. Have you guys ever heard? Well, actually, I can also put these in the chat too if you would like, just because I know, Wade, you are probably working double time to get into here. I want to do, what did I already put? Piximperfect. That is the next one that I have here. And this one is really good at, once again, showing you what not to do and then hopping back into what to do. And it is really easy to watch with the sound off, which is nice. Doesn't really have anything that's kind of whatever. Does really good these close-ups in here. This one's definitely showing the ones with that you might have seen at Adobe Max, which is the fixed distractions. And it's just really nice, clean, and simple. They're normally like under like 20 to 30 seconds long, and it's really nice that when you're kind of going down, you definitely have seen him before. He's all over YouTube. Really great guy, very, very talented, very, very smart. I've used this, I believe, in one of my own streams before. Clever, thank you for the kangaroo in the YouTube chat. Appreciate you guys. And then we'll do one other Photoshop for you. And then I got some video and VFX people for you too before we close out. But Tim Wingart is Tim Hosco, and he does some really cool stuff with 3D objects in Adobe Photoshop. He will walk through both his own work and also things that you can kind of apply to your own if you want to kind of do a displacement over realistic ink effects in Photoshop. His are a little bit more like he does add vocals over top of them, but you can still kind of always follow them no matter what. And using smart filters so it's not destructive. And they're just really good ways to be able to add that extra layer to your work. Threshold layers are always really strong for it too. And then being able to integrate that with the work that you already have there and be able to apply them to work. He's got a bunch. He's also has done Artist Spotlight with us before, so very cool stuff to check out. For video, we have Ali Forsyth, and she does these really good ones where she talks straight to the camera. She'll always kind of start up with a zoom in, and she goes over not only Premiere stuff, but she'll also go off of just being a videographer in general and being able to understand how you can tell stories and you can switch. In this case, she's like talking about wide shots and close-up shots, and then being able to add that to your storytelling in both the vertical and horizontal space. So it's not only for social media. These are all things that can also be taken away to bigger projects, client projects, you name it. Also, hello, Cecilius. Good to see you. So definitely check that out. And her work is fantastic. I think we've featured her on the File New before. And then let's do this one. And This is George Blackett. He is way smaller right now. He is just starting off, but it's something that I have regularly seen his stuff more and more lately, and I really like all the work that he's doing. He does a lot of Premiere stuff, and he talks about fixing iPhone footage and how it can adjust your colors, because I know that's something that people regularly are running into. And he'll change the color profile, which is a way that you're able to make it so it doesn't be so blown out. But same sort of thing. It's nice, concise, to the point, and there are things that are super helpful for just like next time that you're in Premiere and you're working around. I think he's really good also for someone who is maybe newer to Premiere and is trying to kind of get over that initial learning curve hump. He does things that are making your life a lot easier, that will take your edits down from 45-minute changes to maybe like 10-15-minute changes. So definitely check his stuff out if you're interested in upping your Premiere game. We only have a few seconds left. You guys all know her, of course, but it's just so fun to watch. Emily LaRussa is also really, really great. She does a lot of After Effects stuff. She will get into really in-depth projects, but she'll also show you how she got there the entire way. And her stuff has been featured globally on stuff. She's been huge. So she's extremely informative, extremely talented, but she doesn't lose sight of using every tool at her disposal. You can see she even hops out into the Substance suite within Adobe programs, and then she also finds ways to bring them in and create really fun things. A lot of times with her as the main focus, she'll do these really beautiful self-portraits or fun green screen situations, and then she'll walk you through them. So definitely check her out. And we'll do one more before we then break down. And this is the PacMan 82. I think he just recently was on Adobe Live too. And he uses like Blender and stuff and brings that in. But he brings in like fun ideas like this, where he has this traditionally social media vibe, but then turns into 3D vibe and breaks down, and kind of you can see his outfit changes as it's kind of wiping over him. But then he'll also do way more breakdowns, and he says it's actually 63 seconds. So he will kind of surprise you, and then he'll either follow up with another one, or afterwards he'll just break down entirely. And this is within Mocha, which is in After Effects, which is coming straight within it, and you don't really have to leave the program. It just kind of opens the program within the program, and he'll teach you how to do it, which is really nice. So make sure you check him out, and that is the PacMan 82. All right, so we blew through a lot. There is some stuff in the raindrop that we didn't get to, so I'll probably pass them over to Wade, so Wade might get through to it. But other than that, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for your positivity and being great in the chat. Like I said, I'll be off next week, but the show must go on even without me. And we will have we'll have Wade step in and take over, and he's going to do such an awesome job. And I'm excited to see all the stuff that he brings to it, because he is a very talented illustrator and a motion designer. So you're in good hands for sure. But thank you guys for being here. Hit me up with all your comments. Also, make sure you leave a comment on YouTube. You give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you guys for all being here. Thank you to Clever and Kendall and Apurva. I hope that all the stuff that you found today fills up your social media. Astrophil's asking, what's that open index button? Dex is I think I've talked about it before on File New before, but Dex is a CRM tool where you can keep track of professional contacts and like when you talk to them, and take notes of like the things that you talked about in between. And I have a Chrome extension so that if I need to, I can easily pull it up and put it in. I haven't been on top of it as much as I used to be. It's really good for networking, especially when like, things are slow. You can kind of follow back up with people. But don't tell my mom, but I've even like used it for my mom before to just be like, we talked about this on the phone. So then next time she calls me, it kind of pops up, and then I can pop up and then see the things that we talked about. But like I said, don't tell my mom. Guys, stay tuned. We have office hours coming up next with Andrew Hockraddle and Nick Longo. They've got some fun stuff happening for Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble. That wasn't very gobble. That was more like I don't know what it was. Anyway, thanks for being here. My name is Ryan Selvy. Follow me on Instagram at Ryan Selvy. Follow me on Blue Sky at RyanSelvy.com. And that's all for me today. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Take care. Bye. Oh, by the way, Keys is saying that will the change of host be a permanent one? No, it's just for next week. It's just Wade's just hanging out for 1 week. Unless you guys love him so much that then he replaces me, then there's a chance that maybe. But as of right now, it's only for 1 week. Hopefully he doesn't do too good of a job. He will, but I digress. Bye.